Good evening, Matepotato. This is your username on GeoGuessr, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Is there any reason why you chose that username?
But I chose it like a few years ago. I thought it just kind of sounded funny, and at that time, I wasn't really planning to like stream or do YouTube or any of that. So I just thought it'd be a funny username, and it just stuck. So here I am.
You know, the very first time I saw your username, and I saw it repeatedly since you're one of the most famous in the community of the pro players of GeoGuessr, I thought you were maybe Latin American. And the reason for that, I cannot see
Oh,
your face, is because I think there's something in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. It's mate. So I thought it was pronounced like mate potato until I heard you say it and I
yeah,
saw you in tournaments and people saying your username made potato. So I finally realized that
right,
you're, if I'm not mistaken, originally from India. You're 25 years old, as you say in your on your Twitch and YouTube profile description,
right.
and you live in the Netherlands. But be careful not
Yeah,
to give too much away because you know there's probably a lot of GeoGuessr players watching this, and if you give one more
right.
piece of information, they'll figure out
They'll 5K
exactly
me.
where you are. All right, tell us more
Yeah.
about who you are. Maybe three keywords or three numbers that best define you, or anything that can help us understand a little bit about who is behind Mate Potato.
I'm just 25. Well, actually, I'm 26 now. I just recently turned 26,
When was your
and
birthday?
it's on the 21st of October.
So just
But
a bit more than a month ago. Okay.
yeah, I celebrated in Paris right before the World Cup with
Oh
everyone. It was
yes,
really fun,
We'll talk about this in a few moments. Go
for
ahead.
sure. Yeah, but yeah, so I'm 26. I'm here in the Netherlands. I'm here for my master's program, and yeah, I really have fun playing GeoGuessr, streaming and uploading videos. So it's like a hobby, and I love to do it on the side. And yeah, it's a really fun game, and yeah, I'm glad to be a part of this community.
What masters are you doing if it's not indiscreet, if it's not too
No,
personal?
it's no, no, it's I'm studying sustainable energy, especially solar energy, and yeah, that's that's mainly what I'm interested in.
What would that lead you to do afterwards? Do you already know? Do you have an idea of the type of jobs that you're interested in?
Mhm. Well, yeah, partly yes and partly no, because I kind of want to keep my horizons wide and open, and I always like to try out new things, but I think overall, like in the coming few years, like renewable energy is just going to be such a big deal, and already we already feel the need for it so much, and yeah, I feel like solar energy especially has so much potential, and yeah, I'm more interested in like the design and analytics that come alongside all of this. So yeah, something along those lines.
Are you intending to come back, work in India, or you're continuing an international career as a professional
Um,
GeoGuessr player and as an engineer or an economist? Or just go ahead.
yeah, I mean, who knows? For now, at least, I want to explore and find out more about Europe and how things work here, and yeah, we'll see how it goes from there.
That's fair. Where are you from in India, if it's not too much to ask?
No, no, no. Yeah, I'm from a place called Pune. It's a city very close to Mumbai. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but yeah.
I am very familiar. I've been to India quite a few times, so I
Oh,
see
that's great.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I've my first trip to India was 12 years ago, and I went all around Rajasthan. So I actually took,
Ah,
before going to Rajasthan, right before starting this drive all around with the traditional ambassador car, I actually took the night
oh,
train
wow.
from Delhi to Varanasi to experience a bit of the night train and the train system in India.
Oh, okay.
And then the
So,
night train from Varanasi to Agra. So that was also
hmm,
quite epic. Thankfully, I did not get a massive delay. I think it was like maybe 2, 3 hours. I can't remember very well, but not like 17 hours. And I
okay.
really loved it. I find Indian culture fascinating and extremely diverse. So I know
That is true.
Rajasthan
Yeah.
fairly well, but there are many other areas of India that I'd love to visit more, like the north.
Mhm.
Um, I missed an opportunity to go to Ladakh and to Leh
Oh,
in August, and
yeah.
the reason for that is because I have a lung issue. My lungs have collapsed a few
Oh,
years ago, so it means that I cannot go straight away into a mountainous area. I need to go
right.
gradually. It's not just like
I see.
getting acclimatized.
Hmm.
It's about
Yeah.
really easing the pressure into my lungs. Anyway, it's not about me,
I
but I
see.
do know India. That's why I'm curious every time I meet someone from Indian origin because they assume
Mhm.
often that nobody knows anything about incredible India. But I
Right.
very much like India and find it very, very interesting.
That's
Um,
really nice. Yeah.
which languages do you speak? Because now you're in the Netherlands. So do you speak, I
I
guess,
am. Yeah.
English, probably some Hindi?
Yeah. I do speak English, Hindi, and then Marathi. That's my mother tongue. And yeah, I mean, I did learn a bit of German, but I wouldn't say I'm fluent in it at all.
What about
And
Dutch?
Dutch I do understand a little bit because I've
Okay.
been living here, but I can't say I really speak it, so to say. But yeah.
That's fine. That's fair. Let's go back to GeoGuessr. I'm not here to tease out all the personal details of your life. It's just as much as you want to share. What prompted you to play GeoGuessr in the first place, or how did you hear about it in the first place? I'm always curious to hear that aspect.
Yeah, I think it was. So the first time I heard about GeoGuessr was maybe in 2017 or something around then. I had watched some YouTube video back then, and I thought it was interesting, and I maybe played a few games back then, but I didn't really get into it too much. And then early 2021, I think it was just first Jan or something like that. I heard that they released Battle Royale mode, and that really got me into GeoGuessr again. And yeah, after that, I just started playing regularly, and I've been playing for 2 years almost now.
How much do you practice? How many
Um,
hours per day or per week? Because you're one of the very best players. So it's not just, oh, I started playing casually and then, I like the game. You're actually very good. You're too humble to say it, but I'm saying it. So I'm curious, how much do you practice? How many hours?
so the thing is that I don't really think of it as practice, so to say, because I like to try out like different things. Like map making, for example, is one thing I've done quite a bit and I really enjoy. And that is not really like it doesn't really, I guess, count as practice, but you get to see so much of Street View and so much of the world when you make maps. And so, like, if I count all of that, then I probably spend maybe 2 to 3 hours a day. I don't know. It depends really what day it is if I'm busy or not. But I do spend a good amount of time every week playing and interacting with GeoGuessr and the GeoGuessr community. So
Just to clarify,
uh,
when you say map making, it's creating maps to play GeoGuessr on, right? So it's handpicking
yes.
locations or drawing polygons on different maps. How do you proceed? I know and I'll put the link to your YouTube channel because I know recently you've released another video to explain map making.
Yes. So yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe you've heard of the map called the Community World, which was made by a lot of people. So yeah, so that was one of the projects that we started out on my channel, and then so many people joined in, and it was really nice. But I think throughout that process, it really got me very deep into map making. It's of course handpicked maps that I really prefer. And then yeah, when you're selecting every location, you can take your time and look at the areas. You look at the terrain mode, the satellite view, try to see if there's something interesting there, and then you can just roam around on the streets and maybe you find something cool. So I think map making is just a really good way to learn more about the world, and I think that really helps me when I play the game as well. So yeah, I mean, I was just saying it's just one part of the GeoGuessr experience. Like, of course, there's the team duels tournaments that happen so regularly these days. Then there's speed runs, which I've tried quite often as well. Country streaks, chat guesser. There's so many ways to enjoy the game, and yeah, I don't know. It's just one part of it, but I really like it.
On map making still, you mentioned you prefer hand-picked locations. Can you explain to me or to us who are watching this what makes it more interesting to have hand-picked locations as opposed to just random made polygons, which are selecting, I suppose, randomized street view locations or photospheres? What makes it more
Right.
interesting?
So I think there's merits to both maps. So computer generated maps also are very popular these days, and that's because they put you in random spawns and they show you things that you've never seen before, maybe. But honestly, I think the like each map is really it depends on like how you want to play the game. So let's say I want to do a speed run or a moving game, then a randomly generated map is really not ideal because it could put me just in the middle of nowhere where there's maybe like the Google coverage is broken and then it's just not playable, it's not really enjoyable. So in that case maybe a handpicked location would be nice because then there's going to be info. Also, if it's a handpicked map, then usually map makers like to put some effort into it, so they'll find some cool locations, and so you'll find some cool landscapes, maybe interesting street view finds, and I feel like that's the advantage of playing handpicked maps. It's just you get to see some amazing locations, but computer generated maps I think are good for harder maps. I think usually come from computer generated maps because they just have the randomest street view.
You've mentioned some amazing locations. Do you have any in memory that you recall from your memory that are particularly amazing and that you'd like to visit if you have not visited them yet?
Oh, plenty of them. Yeah, there's so many. I think this game has just showed me so many places that I really want to visit. Mongolia being one of them because I really had no connection to Mongolia before this game, and I'm now like very deep into Mongolia. I've studied it so much for this game, and now I really want to visit it. Southern Chile, southern Argentina, the Patagonia, that area is really nice. I'd love to go there. Norway as well. New Zealand, yeah, there's so many places that I'd love to go to.
It's funny, New Zealand and Chile come back very often. I've asked the same question to Jake Lyons, to Geography Challenges, to Phineas, to Ning. And in many cases, Chile, Norway, New Zealand came back very often. So anytime it's mountainous. But it's the first time I'm hearing Mongolia or specifically Patagonia.
Yeah, Patagonia is really nice. I mean, yeah, there's just so many, like the list could just go on. I could still name many more, but these are definitely some, like I feel like these areas just have some really beautiful mountains. And I'm personally someone who really enjoys the mountains. So I feel like it would be great to visit these places.
I make the same joke every time to everyone I interview, but I told you I am also living in Switzerland, and you don't even mention Switzerland in your top three to visit.
Right. No, it's because I've just been to Switzerland and I've seen some really great mountains there. So
Okay.
something new, I guess. Yeah.
What did you enjoy in Switzerland specifically?
Oh, so I actually met up with a friend that I made in GeoGuessr. His name is Quacksauce. I'm not sure if you know him, but he's very good at the game. He's probably our resident Switzerland expert, and yeah, he met up. I met up with him, and he took me on like a drive in like southern Switzerland, and it was really beautiful. Like we went through some really epic pass roads, and I think that was like the highlight of my Switzerland trip. It was really beautiful.
Very nice. What do you still find very challenging when you play GeoGuessr? Are there areas where you feel, this area, this type of map, or this type of imagery, or this country, it's just so tough and I need to study it more?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of places I could improve on. I think most prominently, I would say I'm not really good at the United States, Japan. Probably also Mexico, I'm not too good at. So I feel like these are some countries I definitely need to work on if I want to improve. But yeah, it's. I feel like with this game, there's just infinite learning. You can just like you'll never like complete the game. There's always going to be more to learn. So yeah,
Especially as the imagery is updated, right? When you have
right.
newer generations of images, so you can be confused based on your prior knowledge, where you may know that this is generation 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then it gets updated. So you have to stay abreast of the latest updates, I suppose, to the imagery.
Yeah, that's one thing that map making really helps you keep up with, is because if you have your own map, you need to update it with the new street view that comes every now and then. So yeah, because I have to keep track of a community world and its updates, I always keep my eye out on the new street view updates and what needs to be included in the map, what needs to be updated. So I think that helps a bit the map making aspect.
Would you say that your method of study is mainly centered around map making, or do you have another system of studying and learning and memorizing?
I think it's just a bit of everything, because when I do map making, I get certain vibes, and I start developing a feel for certain places. But then I feel like if I'm doing country streaks, I start paying more attention to the signage in places or the polls and that sort of stuff. So if I do country streaks, state streaks, I gain that part of the game from there. If I do speed runs, then I learn about pinpointing and the signage of different countries, road markers, kilometer markers, all of that. So I feel like every part of the game teaches me something new. So I'd say it's a bit of everything, really.
That makes sense. Do you have any advice for someone who's completely new to the game? How should they get started without feeling discouraged?
Yeah, I think it's just nice to just play the game in a non-competitive format. I think a lot of the popularity GeoGuessr gained recently is because of the competitive modes. But if you go in with the mindset that you want to be the best, then I feel like I feel like it's just nicer to just enjoy the game and get better in the process than to just try hard only to get better at the game, because I feel like then you set unrealistic expectations from yourself and maybe from others as well, and then you fail to meet them. And yeah, I don't know, it's a bit complicated, I think. But if you just play the game in a relaxed manner, for me it was that way. Like I started getting into GeoGuessr by just streaming it and interacting with all these amazing people in the community, and that really motivated me to keep going and learning more. And I feel like if you're just having fun, you just learn a lot on the way.
So you talk about competition and specifically for beginners not to worry too much about the competitive aspect, but you're a very strong competitor yourself. Now, of course, you're not a beginner, you're a pro. You played in that category. You also attended the World Cup, not the football one, but the GeoGuessr one in Paris at the end of October. You hinted at it a few minutes ago. How was the experience?
Oh, it was fantastic. I think it was definitely like I think I even tweeted it out after that. I think like my GeoGuessr experience peaked at that event because it like it was just such a surreal experience, not just meeting all these people who I've only known online, but then also playing in person on like a LAN setup. It was something new, something that I'd never done before. Um, and yeah, there was all sorts of game modes in the World Cup. There were moving games, no moving games, NMPZ games, and yeah, it was just really fun to try out all of that. And also I think the fact that we made it far adds to the experience as well. It was really fun, but yeah,
Would you like to see more of these types of competitions in person?
definitely. I feel like this has just opened up a new door for competitions, and I'm very excited for more.
How would you like to see the game or the community evolve beyond maybe more in-person competitions? Do you have any thoughts around what you'd like to see happen or evolve?
Yeah, I think there's still plenty of. Firstly, I'm really glad to see the community grow so much recently. Um, but I do think that it would be nice to see where the community goes a year from now, because the competition aspect is one thing, but because of all this competition, there's been a lot of new metas and information being generated that we didn't know previously. So I feel like maybe summer of 23, the skill level of people will be unimaginable. I have no idea how good people will be at the game. And I feel like at that stage, I don't really know what competitions will even mean. But yeah, I think it would just be nice if the community is just having fun and it doesn't get too serious. And yeah, the competitions are one thing, but just having nice people to interact with and talk about this nerdy GeoGuessr stuff every day is really nice.
You certainly sound like you're having fun and you're not too stressed with having more competitors. You really seem to
Yeah.
enjoy yourself in the various game modes. And when you're not playing GeoGuessr, what do you spend your time on? I think I've noticed you have a second YouTube channel, a more confidential one, and I believe it's
Right.
another game.
Yeah, it's like a anime manga series called One Piece. I'm not. Yeah, it's something that I've been following for a few years now already, and I'm really in love with it. It's like probably my favorite piece of literature as of now, and yeah, so that's that's like something that I really look forward to every week is the new chapter that comes out for One Piece.
Do you have other hobbies or other things that particularly interest you?
I'd say traveling and going around is really fun. Uh, I mean, I feel like I always have phases. Like there was a phase where I enjoyed chess a lot. There was a phase where I enjoyed like playing music instruments, and then yeah, it's the GeoGuessr phase right now. So who knows?
Is it because you've attained such a level of mastery with GeoGuessr that everything else feels that maybe it's harder to achieve the level of you've attained with GeoGuessr? You're easily in the top 10, top 20, top 30 in the GeoGuessr community, and being in the top 30 in the chess world seems incredibly hard. Not
Yeah, that
harder
is
than
true.
GeoGuessr, it's just another skill set. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there some extra motivation for you to realize that yeah, you're pretty good at GeoGuessr, and it's much harder in other areas maybe for yourself?
Yeah, I think that's true because I think that's just true in a lot of places in life where if you've gone past that steep learning curve, then you feel comfortable in your environment. You develop sort of a comfort zone. And then if you want to get into something else, you always have to learn again. You have that climb again. But I feel like for me at least, it's not that I always want to be at the top of everything. For me, it's more about just learning more things and giving back to people and having fun in the process. Yeah, it doesn't really matter to me like being on top, and that's partly the reason why like the competition part of GeoGuessr is great, but it's not like it doesn't like take over my life. I think it's it's something that I enjoy, but it's not everything for me.
You mentioned giving back. Is your streaming and your YouTube videos a way for you to give back? Or what are your goals that you're trying to achieve through this streaming and posting on YouTube?
Most definitely. Actually, that's the reason why I started streaming in the first place is because I realized a while ago that I was consuming so much media and entertainment, and uh, I mean, it's nice to be a consumer, but I feel like I feel like I feel happier when I give back, and I think that's my goal in general in life is to give back maybe more than I take from people, and yeah, that's really why I started streaming and making videos, and yeah, I'm really glad that they've reached so many people. It really makes me happy.
When you think of the word successful, who comes to mind? Beyond yourself, because you're incredibly successful in various areas, and and it's
No,
very nice to hear your words. I'm jumping topics, I know, but it is very nice to hear from you that your intention is to try and give more than what you take. At least this is the impression that you want to leave. Um, so that's very heartwarming. So who do you think of? Who inspires you when it comes to success, or someone who's successful, whether it's a relative, a friend, someone inside or outside the community, or just a well-known person, alive or no longer alive?
yeah, I think success can be interpreted in a few ways, and the way I see it really I feel like I would be successful if when I lay on my deathbed, I feel like I've given back to everyone around me, to the planet, and feel like I've made an impact with my life. And personally, for me, growing up, my like I feel like my grandfather has been the sort of person that I've always looked up to. I feel like he's done that, and to me, in my eyes, he is like the successful person, if you ask me. But yeah, there's I mean, there's going to be so many examples. People are successful in many different ways, even within the community. I feel like there's so many amazing people who I would consider successful. Yeah, just like. Uh, Rainbow, GeoWizard, Zigzag, all of these have reached like such great heights and have yeah just spread the game to so many people. It's really great, I think.
In the same vein of spreading a message to the wider world and to the community, imagine you have a gigantic billboard anywhere in the world, and you can write whatever you want on it. What would
Uh-huh.
be written on it? What would you like in terms of a message on that gigantic billboard? And maybe where would you
Anywhere
like?
in the world.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to ask you one subsequent question: is where would you like to have that billboard put?
Mm. Honestly, I'd put it in Northern Ireland and say this is Northern Ireland because I really struggle with Ireland and Northern Ireland when I'm playing GeoGuessr. So I definitely use it to help my GeoGuessr. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like more serious note, I'm not sure. Really, I feel like, yeah, billboards. Yeah, I don't really have a good answer other than GeoGuessr. Really, I think
That's not
that's
a
the first
problem
thing
at
that
all.
comes to my mind. Yeah.
So you were very serious when you mentioned reaching the end of your life, and this is partly my fault with my semi-intellectual questions asking about what success looks like. What are you most afraid of? And this is the reason why I connect to that question, because you mentioned, reaching the end of your
Oh.
life, and that can be sometimes for some people a worry or a concern. Although you're still very young, so hopefully this is not a concern for you. But is there anything that you're afraid of?
Um. Yes, I feel like usually what I'm most concerned about is um, doing something that I'd regret later on, because I really don't like living with regrets. I feel like so as long as yeah, that's probably it. I guess just fear. Probably my biggest fear is just to not do anything wrong to other people to hurt them or hurt their feelings or something like that. You know.
Connected to that, when was the last time you admitted being wrong and that you revised your opinion accordingly? Do you have an
Oh,
example in mind?
probably every day. I think just earlier today, I think I feel like I've made some mistakes in well, I'd say I made them in GeoGuessr, but I feel like it definitely told me that I need to improve, and these mistakes are not acceptable because I made some really bad guesses.
Do you remember the bad guess?
Yes, I thought it was New Zealand when it was UK, so that's really not good.
Well, it happens to the best of us, in particular to the pro players, and it's funny to see sometimes the reaction in the competitive tournament. Sometimes that
Yeah.
Rainbolt is hosting, and see how people are upset,
Mhm.
at least for a few minutes when making a terrible guess. Anyway, it happens to all of us, and it's nice also to hear
Yeah.
from you, and readily admitting we're all learning. You said at the beginning,
Mhm.
there's an
Yeah.
infinite possibility of learning through this game. I almost don't consider this a game, to be frank, because it's so tightly
Right.
connected to the outside world. And this is
Yeah.
why sometimes, I wish the Street View imagery was even better, i.e., we would not be able to use metadata at all. So I know you can enable modes, you
Right.
have scripts where you can
Mhm.
hide it. But some of you, Matepotato, yourself,
Mhm.
and other players are so good that even just the color range that is on a photo, whether it's high definition or not,
Right.
can tell you already some information. But I'm
Definitely.
looking
Yeah.
forward to. So this is more of the game part, but this is why the other part, which is the vegetation, the landscape, how it looks like,
Mhm. Yeah.
the attire that people are wearing. All this feels that to me, and I've been very lucky and privileged to travel in a bunch of countries around the planet. To me, it connects me to the rest of
Mhm.
the planet and reminds me of travels or makes me want to travel, just like yourself, to new locations.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. I agree. Yeah.
Any final words you'd like to share? Because I don't want to make this a super long interview. We can always have other ones. I know sometimes I have one interviewee saying, "That's it? I thought we talked more about GeoGuessr." But I said, "Well, we've been talking for half an hour, and I don't want to bore you or bore anyone else. But of course,
Yeah.
we can always talk again, like in 6 months or in a year, and say, hey, this is what you said a year ago, and how things are evolving." But in the meantime,
Of
anything
course.
else you'd like to say, whether it's about GeoGuessr or any final few words you'd like to share with people watching this interview?
Yeah, honestly, I'd just say that it's really great to have so many people interested in GeoGuessr and the GeoGuessr community. And honestly, I'd just say keep playing, and I hope to meet more of you in the future because, yeah, it's really great to connect with people all over the world through this game and learn about their cultures and all of that as well, apart from the landscapes and vegetation from GeoGuessr itself. So yeah, it's really awesome, and it was really fun.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mate Potato.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for having me.